Death, taxes, and call time. Welcome to How to Run for Office and Get Away with It. Today we're diving into the art of the ask. From high energy 5Ks and community pig roasts to the dreaded Rolodexing of your closest friends. We're breaking down how to build a war chest, channel your inner LBJ, and keep your call time manager from quitting. Grab a coffee, it's time to get funded. Let's get into it. Welcome to How to Run for Office and Get Away with It. I'm Scott,
And I'm D.
and we're here as your usual hosts on episode 10.
Are we already to episode 10?
And we are in double digits now.
That's crazy. Here we are.
That is.
That's exciting.
And our weather today is, what season are we in right now?
How you know that we're officially like well in the middle age, that we have an obsession with what's going on with the weather?
Check it constantly.
I'm constantly concerned with what's the weather. More my obsession is that I want snow. I'm one of those rare creatures who genuinely loves snow.
And ironically, we know that the Northeast right now just got buried in snow.
Buried in it. And
We got zilch.
my family got snow, and I'm so mad. I'm so jealous. And now they're about to get more snow on the Great Lakes. And am I getting snow?
No,
No, I'm not. I'm not getting snow. I'm
that's
just
in
getting,
the Ohio Valley.
they're hitting us with the muddening.
Second one, couple of days.
Sort of like a day. It didn't even count as second winter. We're just going straight into the muddening. And then we get that potential third mini winter, and then it's just allergy season. Then it's Death Valley, and it's Death Valley with allergies. And then it's the pit of despair, which is 38 degrees and raining, but it's always dark.
Yes.
And that's pretty much November to now in Kentucky, except for that 2 weeks that we were all 7 rides for 7 brothers stuck in a cabin. And that wasn't even snow. It was like you could still see the grass the entire time. Oh, I was so despondent. Yeah, so today,
What are we talking about today?
we're talking about death, taxes, and call time. And they come for every candidate. These are the fundraisers. These are the main fundraisers that you are going to want to set up. And we're talking about it now while we're still in the planning things phase, right? Because, well, this is when you want to start planning some of them.
But we're going to get more into detail of what type of fundraisers to have and what to expect and how to organize them.
Right, because you can't schedule them.
And it's one of the most important, probably the second most important part of campaigning is the fundraising.
But, well, yeah, I'd say that. There's some people who believe it's the most important, but
There's some people who do nothing but fundraise.
yeah, that's their sole.
Spend money on signs, and that's it.
Yeah. So I was about to say a thing, and then I totally forgot what it was, because then you made the point about fundraising, and I'm like, yeah, it just popped right in my head.
Well, that's unfortunate.
That's okay.
It'll come back to you
It will. I know it, but it
right in the middle of something else.
it will. It'll be later on. But today we're talking about because you can't schedule the fundraiser. We're talking about starting to build your calendar. You can't start to lay the groundwork for that fundraising if you don't know what goes into those fundraisers. So today we're going to tell you the basic fundraisers you're going to be doing in your campaign so that you can sort of slate that out. So you can pencil stuff in and start getting an idea on when you want to start doing that stuff. Not start doing it, when you want to start looking at like where on the calendar to schedule them. So we're going to be talking about that. We're going to be talking about the timing for those and what needs to go into them, that sort of thing. We're going to be touching on the final fundraiser that's going to lead us into next week's episode. All still part of planning, pre-planning, getting ready before you even file. And what else are we going to talk about? I think we might talk about one of the best fundraisers that ever was, LBJ.
He had a unique style with that.
He did, and he was also kind of Saint Bernardy, but I'll get into you
We're gonna get into the
he was a
how,
lot like
where, who, and why we're gonna fundraise.
he was a lot like our dog Charlie, and yeah, I'll explain it later. As a person, he was a big old slobbery mess. I'll explain later, y'all.
Stick around for that.
Stick around for while LBJ was like our slobbery dog.
Well, before we get into all of that, running for office can be overwhelming, especially when you don't know where to begin. Be Political helps people just like you run for political office with the confidence of having a seasoned campaign manager. With Be Political, you'll find the professional advice you've been looking for, along with guidance and tools you can't find anywhere else. We'll help you stay organized and guide you in making important decisions about your campaign. From learning how to secure that big donor to choosing your campaign color scheme, Be Political is here for you. It's hard to know where to begin when you want to run. Start here. Be Political will show you the way. For all your campaign needs, go to bepoliticalllc.com. And now, back to the fundraising.
Back to the fundraising. You know, we this is kind of a touchy topic in a lot of ways, fundraising,
Right.
because Citizens United and, where money comes from and, you know, all of that kind of stuff. And so it's kind of cast a black shadow, a dark black shadow across fundraising, and for good reason, right?
Yeah.
What we're talking about is good old fashioned fundraising.
If you don't have a PAC that is supporting your campaign, or you don't have an angel donor who wants to finance everything, which most people don't.
Most people don't, and honestly, shouldn't. But we don't get into politics.
This is good old fashioned grassroots
This is
fundraising.
good old fashioned local fundraising that you can put a flag in and feel good about.
Right.
Stake your claim on this kind of fundraising. But we don't get into politics a lot in this podcast, at least not current politics. And that's not because we don't have opinions that we are not ready and willing to share with the world. Lord knows that that is what I do nearly nonstop all the time.
Pretty
Or
regular.
I'm hyperverbal about it.
Yes.
But why aren't we doing that on this podcast, right? We're not doing that because
It's not about that.
it's not about that. Like, for one thing, and this matters. For one thing, it completely dates all of the information that we're giving you in a way that, you know, even though some of it's tried and true, you've got all this it's not pop culture, but time referenced information that's thrown in, and it sort of pulls you out of the informational part of it. It makes it feel dated even if it is tried and true. But it's not just that. You are probably listening to this podcast because every time you turn on the news, like most of us, you are just so stressed out and outraged. And you've come to the point that this is like, I I have a moral obligation at this point to step up and do my civic duty and be just a person who isn't corrupt and can lend something to my community.
Right.
And so you've already gotten that. Like, you're already pumped. You're already either frustrated, outraged, overwhelmed, or you're inspired. Somebody you've already achieved that. This is the instructional, like, this is where you go to find out what to do with that.
Right.
So, at the time of this podcast, there's like 5 billion things to be outraged with, right?
Oh,
Uh,
all over the place.
and if you're a woman, you should just stay outraged all the time. That's my personal opinion. You should just be angry all the time. Um, one of my favorite things in because I'm a big nerd, right? So I watch
The biggest.
the bit. I'm super big nerd in She-Hulk, where she's like, I know how to control my rage because I'm a woman. I have to do that all day, every day, all the time. So, like that. So, stay outraged, ladies, every single one of you. If you are a minority in any way, you should be outraged right now. I'm just, but my point is, you already are. You're already inspired to run for office. You're already thinking about it. Something has already moved you. You're moved. Now we're telling you what to do with it.
And that's the impetus of the whole podcast.
That's the whole point. So
And that's what Be Political does for you, too.
that's right. We're not here to, you know, convince you of a point of view. We're probably going to only represent specific ones. Because that's, why would we work to help get people into office that we don't support their stance and major issues? But other than that, um, we're gonna walk you through how to get this done now that you're looking around and saying, okay, enough is enough.
Well, most
Right.
of our listeners are probably starting from the beginning.
A lot of our listeners are. I think a lot of them will be part of I hope you're part of organizations, but you just don't have access in your region to somebody who can give you this information. Because there's a lot of political deserts out there. I mean, I grew up in Maryland where the federal government was your local state and federal news, right? So anyway, it's not you don't get that all the time here in Kentucky. Our here is in Kentucky. But, you might be in uh, North Dakota, and then you're part of North Dakota, you just don't have somebody who knows this information that's readily accessible. So here
Right.
we are.
Right.
Hi, North Dakota. Are you getting snow? Because I'm real bitter about not getting it here. Anyway,
You've got to get off of the snow.
I want snow so bad. I just want to play in some snow. It's
You
just
need to move.
we, you hear that, Kentucky? Get better weather or we're leaving. So we're getting into the fundraising. Is that what we're doing? Let's do it.
All right. So the first thing to learn is, how do you justify fundraising?
How do you justify fundraising? Yeah, so
Yourself. I mean,
Right.
you're asking people for money. How do you justify that?
so it's not so much justification, it is the um it's the thing that I have to tell I tell every candidate this, right? You've heard me say this, but it's the genuine point. You have to raise money in order to make your message available to the public. If you have a message and you can't elevate that message for it to be heard, you're not being able to do anything in politics. You can't get elected. It requires money. These are simple realities. It doesn't have to be $1 million spent on TV buys, but you do need to buy signs, office supplies, and, all the things that go along with getting your name out there.
Right.
It costs money. So, to the people who support your ideas, to the people who support initiatives that you are bringing to the forefront and making relevant to the community at large for people who may not have heard that point of view or haven't formed an opinion and bringing them to that opinion and making that change, you're performing a service.
Sure.
You're the one putting yourself out there. So, for the people who support those initiatives and want to see them move forward, if they're not willing to run for office and they're looking for someone to do that job, well, then if you have a few extra bucks, pony it up so that you can elevate that message. They're doing a service for you by taking your issue and bringing it to the forefront. So remember, when you're running for office, you're not out there begging. You're not out there, panhandling. And a lot of people who are running for office, when they first start trying to raise money, they feel like they're panhandling. I have seen grown men hide from their call time manager. And I'm telling you, call time managers that are like 20-year-old college, students who are they're doing it for a college credit and, working for on a campaign. And these candidates are terrified to do call time, to have to sit and ask people for money.
Right.
So you don't need to do that. You're not panhandling. You're asking people to do their part in the movement.
As part of the public service that people should be doing.
And it's the public service that you're providing.
Right.
They're not paying you. you're not benefiting from it. So let go of the idea that you are panhandling or calling people to give you money. They aren't. You're asking them to support the cause that for many of them, they encouraged you to run. A lot of those people that you're calling are the same people who said you should run for office. Now I'm running for office. So you
Write
do
me a
your
check.
write me a check. That's right. So because you're doing them a favor. I mean, you're not doing them a favor, but you're doing your civic duty for their cause. So
Right.
you do yours. So remember that.
So let's talk about the different types of asks
Right.
or pleas or whatever you want to call it.
So you're alluding to the first one, which is kind of your wide net plea type ask.
Yes.
Um, and everyone's familiar with these. These are the ones where you see like online posts with links to online giving, where you have, hey, I'm running for office. Please make sure that you donate. Here's the link to my Act Blue. And here's the link to my fundraising page. And because by the way, Act Blue, in order to be able to use it, you have to be a registered Democrat who I believe is running for a Democratic seat. For a seat that is partisan.
Right.
So, but we have many people who are running, who are Democrats who run for nonpartisan seats that don't have access to that. So they may be using a different online fundraising system. But if you are running we use ActBlue. So you've got those posts online, you see those, and then they're pinned. You want to, if you're, when you're doing this online, you want to have a post, on your social media that is pinned to the top of your page so that every time someone goes to your social media, they're seeing here's where you donate for the campaign. So that's sort of your wide net on social media. You also have your website, which has
And should every social media post that you make include a donate banner or pin?
no, not necessarily. So a pinned post is when you take a post and you pin it and it stays at the top of your page.
Right.
So you only need one of those, one that gives your message, and keep that there. Now, every post that you do on social media isn't necessarily going to link to your fundraising. It should be posts that are specifically part of your fundraising messaging. Because you're also going to have posts about relevant stories in the news and things that you as a candidate are commenting on, and links to, a
You're not asking for money in every single post that you make.
no, you should have a messaging calendar that goes with your wide net fundraising, which is these are the scheduled posts throughout the week that go on social media to raise money. Because, all of those things, they have different purposes that are all running at the same time. There are
Right.
coordinated messaging. So, you've got that. You've also got your website, which has your main page that should have something on there that's drawing attention to your fundraiser page. Again, a wide net. Everybody who visits your page sees that. You're making a plea for them to donate to you. And then you have your more traditional sort of things, which is like mailers. When you're sending out mailers,
Still use mailers?
people do still use mailers, surprisingly. And, politicians spend a lot of money on them, and you're thinking, oh, I get this from the mailbox and I throw it in the trash. You do 7 times.
Yep.
There's science behind this. It's been studied. You do 7 times. Not necessarily you see the mailer 7 times and throw it away. You see something that has to do with that candidate where it sticks in your head 7 times, the physical touch of it. There's a whole psychology behind it. But eventually you're going to pick it up and read it. There's a science behind mailers, and I'll get into all of that at another time. Just know that you're probably going to do 2 mailers that have to do with fundraising if you can afford it. Because again, that's part of a luxury sort of thing. And this is sort of the wide net. You can do it for free online, right? The mailer costs money to get money. So you want to make sure if you're sending out that mailer that you have a reasonable expectation to get more in return from that. And if it's specifically a ask mailer, a donation, a contribution mailer, then it needs to be targeted to the people. You don't want to send it to every constituent region, right? Um, your Republicans are probably not going to donate to you unless you have a reason that that demographic would, if you're a Democrat. So
So let's talk briefly about how do you get a list of people to mail things to, or how do you get a list of people to call and contact? Where does that information come from? If you're doing
right.
mailers, you're not just sending those out to people that you know, because you're already going to
No,
fudge dropping them.
so you're looking for
What?
the demographic
Right.
for this. So if you're looking for where you can find those demographics, a lot of times people use software that's available. For me, I typically am using the NGP van system, which is the boat builder.
Okay.
Um, Boat Builder has all of the information regarding public information regarding voters, how, how many times, how many times they voted in primaries, how many times they voted in general. Obviously, nobody knows what you voted, so don't freak out. It's just when you know, showed that you voted. That is logged that you voted. The times that you voted and what your party registration is and where you live and just different demographic information.
Right.
And you can run filters on there, and hopefully if you're using Act not Act Blue, hopefully if you're using NGV Van, you're working with your state party or your local party, your county or parish party, that you've gotten that through and there's some training involved with it that teaches you how to use those filters. For everyone else, so there's a little bit of labor intense that goes into that if you don't have access to that. You can get that information usually from your Secretary of State or your state of elections, wherever you find your um list um for your election finance disclosures and things like that. You can actually look up one of the things that I do is I look up um, who has donated in that geographic area to candidates who have previously run for that particular seat in that particular party, and I target them with mailers.
Okay.
Sometimes you just call them. Actually, you always just call them. I say sometimes you always call them, but, you know, sometimes you follow up with some sort of mailing. And, you don't always have to do a high glossy mailing sort of thing. Sometimes it's just a handwritten note. Sometimes it's something that's low key. There for a while, some people were doing printings that looked like handwritten letters from like,
Oh, I hate those. Oh, that's so rude.
wait, it's rude?
It's rude
Why do you think it's rude?
because you have to look so closely to find out if it's actually handwritten or not, and most of them aren't.
And you find that offensive?
I find that offensive.
Well, what if
To try to make it look like it's handwritten when it's not, I think that's offensive.
so you that's one of the great things about running for a local office though, is that if you have the time and resources, you can actually handwrite those letters. No, you can't.
No, real
So how are you offended by it? If
Is that
you know that's
because I don't
important.
think I don't think they should try to pass it off as handwritten when it's not.
It's like a little sincerity situation for them.
Yes.
And even if you know that that person did handwrite it and it is their handwriting, would that make it better? Like, no, I would say like, and then it was printed in mass to go to more than one person.
No,
That situation bothers you
exactly.
because
It's like a form letter. It doesn't mean anything because they chose to write one letter and copy it.
well, it's a
That's just me.
that's
If you're gonna make it handwritten, then handwrite it.
so a there is an old adage in fundraising that is you're always going to piss somebody off.
And it's usually me.
It's not usually you, it's usually me. I'm usually the one who's aggravated. But yeah, this is definitely a hill you would die on. I see
Yeah.
that.
I would.
You can see this definitely be no, if they're gonna make it handwritten, it better be handwritten. I can see that.
Yeah.
I know you well enough. So, there's different opportunities for different styles of mailers, ones that are very economical, some that are, an actual note, depending on what, you know, size, a grouping of people that you're mailing things out to. You write the same message inside of it for 30 people and you send it out, whatever. Well, yeah. You feel better about
I
that?
feel better about that one.
You can do that one. So you save that one for your high-end donors. Again, written,
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
make you feel better. We'll talk more about the handwritten letters, but not the form version here in just a few. It's where that's coming from.
So
But
how else can you cast a wide net? Just start scooping up donations.
well, in general, it's always in your public speaking. I mean, that's really the final piece of your wide net. You are constantly every time you are speaking, you need to let people know that they need to donate. They need to donate to you, where they can donate. Hi, donate to my campaign. Like you give a public speech, and unless it is in memoriam of someone, it better include that people should donate to your campaign and where they can do it. Right? Also, maybe not so much if you're a guest speaker at a house of worship.
Yeah, because they're already donating.
All right, yes, you're taking away from the donations. Yeah, a homeless shelter is also not a place to ask for donations to your campaign unless you do it right, right? Unless you're like, I'm standing in front of this homeless shelter today because we need more attention brought to the homeless in our campaign. Or in our community, my campaign is focused on ensuring that our homeless are never without a bed. Be sure and donate to my campaign whenever you get the chance of that. We can solve these problems together. But for the most part, if you're speaking at the Knights of Columbus, you know, hey, thanks for all the bingo you host. And in the meantime, if you're looking to support a candidate, I would appreciate you donating to my campaign. To the Rotary Club, thank you for all that you do for Kozar charities. We would really appreciate a contribution to my campaign as well. Like there's opportunities in just about every speaking engagement you have to bring attention. That's your wide net on physically speaking.
Now, you also recommend having two major fundraising events.
And many people may need to work up to this. But for the most part, if you follow the checklist that kind of goes along with these things, you should be able to knock it out.
Right.
So you have two annual events, and they're two different events. And the reason why it's important that you do these is they have two different functions in what they do. Plus, it's twice a year that your name is put out there. And because they're annual events, you're continuing to bring in money for your campaign, keeping your name in the community, in addition to the community involvement that you should be having as a office holder.
Right.
This is something that continues and makes you accessible to the community. Um, and it's something that you add to the culture. Now, I grew up in having an annual pig and bull roast. We did the annual pig and bull roast at the FOP, and then the annual golf scramble. And that's exactly what I'm about to say. So you want one that is more of a competition base, but you want it to meet your campaign where it is, right? So you want it to be something that matches who you are as a candidate and what your campaign is about. So, you know, it's going to be something that focuses on fundraising for your campaign, right?
Right.
Builds name ID, brand ID for your campaign, and it gives you an opportunity to be sort of in a efficient role, um, and also work the crowd.
Okay.
So you're looking at
What kind of events are we looking at here?
so we're looking for opportunities where you have campaign merch that you can sell.
Right.
Out those all important t-shirts. Y'all want your t-shirts. Here's your chance to get your t-shirts. You've got t-shirts that you can sell or that should be worn during this competition so that everyone has one as part of their entry fee in some way. Um, it's an opportunity for you to put your branding everywhere on that particular event. You're not sharing the event, but it's an event that is, out there. It's a little bit more public than the other event that you're going to have. And it has something that brings people together as a community in the spirit of some sort of joint activity. So I like things that are like a golf tournament. Usually you've got somebody at a local course that is familiar with golf tournaments. They can walk you through the process of getting yours going. I've done them before. It depends on the group of people and the age group that you're targeting in your fundraising. So if you're looking at a lot of middle-aged people who have, time on their hands, then that's people who play golf. I know that that's sort of, I think, waning as a way to
Check your local community.
check your local community.
Yeah.
There's some areas where golf tournaments are starting to go the way of the brontosaurus, because that doesn't exist.
Yeah.
They changed it to the brachiosaurus. 5Ks.
Right.
That you gotta work with your local police department a lot of times. So, if you're backed by the FOP, that might be a good one to have because, you can, work with them perhaps in a 5K or a triathlon of some sort if you've got resources in that. A music festival, having local, artists who are performing at your festival, that sort of thing, even a performance competition. Have your communities got talent, and host that because you want to bring out the greatest resource in your community, and that's its people and their talent.
Right.
Um, and you make money from these different things because not only is it supporting you, but you're supporting the community, and the community is coming out to support each other. And because you're fostering that, it is, you know, they see you as someone who brings people together.
Right.
And that's part of the point. But like I said, it should be something that embraces who you are as a candidate.
But aren't they expensive to put on?
Not always. No, a lot of times it's taken care of with your entry fees. It should be taken care of with your entry fees.
So you're gonna have to pony up some money to rent the golf course or to um,
And
create your all the signage and like for a golf tournament, there's usually multiple sponsors of different holes.
exactly. And that's something that you want to do in these events as well. So you're
So
good
you're hosting it, but you're gonna go out and get sponsors from holes.
because I'm sure there's businesses out there that are going to be supporting you as a candidate, and now's your chance to
And
get their support.
and taking a portion of the entry fees, or are you still just there looking for donations?
No, you should be planning this so that the entry fees and so that the sponsors for the event are covering the costs of the event. And the entry fees that you're collecting are part either covering the costs that may not have been met by hopefully should have been met, but may not have been met. And then the rest is coming to your campaign. So this is something that you want to look at what businesses in the area support you, where you can get those sponsors from in your community, and then those go in the back of those event t-shirts that you have with their branding, or they get signs that go up around the stage like yard signs. And so those
These things are a big deal, and they're gonna take some time and some work to put them on.
which is why my next point is both these events need two different committees. And both of them should have someone like your treasurer or somebody who is not necessarily temporary in your campaign who are overseeing.
Okay.
Because as a candidate, again, this shouldn't be something that you're working on this can be a full-time job. It should be based on, the fact that you want it to have a music festival. Like, that fits your campaign, that fits the messaging. You have the connections that make sense for your campaign. The people who are working on that committee, well, they should be people who have some idea of what to do in organizing an event. And you're like, "Where do I get that person from?" Are they're in your community. They really
Sure.
are. Your community has events. And then if your community doesn't have events and you don't have anybody who has a clue about how to throw an event, well, guess what? Any event's going to look great in your community.
Yeah.
Because it sounds like nothing's happening there. People know how to do these things.
Look it up on the internet.
So, call a campaign manager. Like,
Be good.
simple.
There you go.
We can walk you through this. As a matter of fact, the strategy sessions that I do,
Yes.
I can walk people through how to do this kind of stuff and how to plan these events and the checklists that they need to go through and all of it.
Well, that's perfect.
So, hey, if you're wanting to like set up this sort of thing, I can help you out with that. One of the people that's here at Be Political, we can walk you through it. So anyway, but you're gonna find like it's easier to execute than people realize
Right.
to do these things. And
What's the you said there were 2 types of events. You've got a activity-based event.
other one is a food event. The thing that brings people together. People come together over food. And this is honestly one of the fastest money making like fundraisers that you can have because you can get cheap food that's super delicious that people will pay for and they will pay a amount that is far more than what they can consume.
Right.
Because they're also paying for the atmosphere of being there, whatever. They also recognize that it's a fundraiser. So you get something together that is an annual event, and people will come together to eat that food and then chat and celebrate. And you get to walk around as the host of a dinner party, of a laid back picnic, of a whatever. You get to walk around that room. Everybody's brought together and they're already happy because you have just given them some form of comfort food. So
Okay.
so there's different ways to approach that. Again, it depends on the personality of your campaign. It depends on what it is that represents what your campaign culture is or what you're trying to make happen in your community. So, it sounds like a lot of thought into it to go with the spaghetti dinner. But
Yeah.
but if that makes more sense than a pancake dinner for your community, well, then that's what you do.
Pancake breakfast.
Or I'm sorry, pancake breakfast. Maybe it's a pancake dinner.
There you go.
Everyone loves Brenner.
We could do that.
Um, Another one, a homecoming tailgate. I come from a Friday night lights town. We live in a college community, and yet I've never seen anybody do this here. I've seen it back home, but not here, where they have a tailgate fundraiser. And that is just where, like, you come to the tailgate and then you're just cooking hot dogs on a grill. Somebody's cooking hot dogs on a big grill at a tailgate. You have music. People come to that tailgate. They, buy tickets in advance for it. You have a big time.
You sell tickets to your tailgate?
You can sell tickets to a tailgate party. Yes.
Okay.
To a tailgate party fundraiser. And what did you serve them? You served them hot dogs, baked beans, potato salad, whatever, wings. Maybe you did wings. I don't know. But hot dogs, cheap as all get out, fundraiser.
Right.
And then everybody starts looking forward to, no, we go to the homecoming tailgate with, Councilman
Smith.
Smith. Um,
So you got a spaghetti dinner, you got a pancake breakfast, and you've got homecoming tailgating.
we did a pig and bull roast when I was growing up.
And what is a pig and bull roast?
It's where you take a pig and you put it on a pole and then you roast it. And then also a bull, a big, like a big thing of beef.
Now that sounds really, really expensive to try to host.
Don't believe it was.
Okay.
So, like, you had volunteers that would they would roast it. They would, like, turn the crank and all that kinda stuff, and, uh, all it was roasting that and putting out some side dishes, and it was picnic tables, and it was hosted at the FOP, and the
Okay.
location was free, so the only expense that was there was for the pig and the bull and the side dishes and the cutlery and whatnot, like the
All right.
plates and then there would we got a big beer trailer. It was like a trailer and it had
Yeah, I think we know what a beer trailer is.
okay.
Yeah,
So, I didn't know if you'd seen one before.
sure.
They had the tap on the trailer, and, we'd get a beer trailer, and it was great because it was at the FOP, and they were usually kinda, like, sub-hosting it. It was all police officers that were doing all the cooking and everything, so, you know, everybody
If you have an FOP, that's a good place to check for something like that, or
Yeah.
a VFW, or maybe even a barbecue place.
So, another option for that is if you have a a supporter who happens to live on a farm. That's another place that I've done a lot of fundraisers is somebody happens to have a large plot of land that they don't mind utilizing for events like that.
Right.
And then, maybe they're a close friend who owns a farm or
Well,
whatnot.
these should be annual events.
Their annual events.
Even if
Each one
even if you're not
in the same location.
even if you're not actively campaigning that year.
Mhm. And that's one of the if you get elected to office, do you think election year is over? In my family, we always knew election year was every year. Election year is every year. Whether you're every 2 years or 4 years, election year is every year. So you do this annually. It keeps your name out there for the people who aren't supporting you. Other options, by the way, that are super fun. Juneteenth picnic. That's a great opportunity. And then a murder mystery dinner. And this is something that I do as a hobby is I actually participate in murder mysteries. I work for a company called Murder and Merriment, and every once in a while they're like, "Hey, do you want to come murder somebody or be murdered?" And I'm like, "Yeah, that sounds like a lot of fun." And then
There are companies out there that will bring actors and story and everything to you,
but definitely use the one that I work for. So, Murder and
and
Merriment.
they will travel.
Yes, it's like this I think we're the 2nd largest or maybe the largest east of Mississippi and all over the place and work with the owner all the time, but he's a wonderful guy, but the point is that and we actually do one where it's like an election. It's like 1968 presidential election thing like, there's really cool creative ways to have an annual event. That's a fun one to do, like, at the beginning of October. Have a murder mystery party,
Sure.
big murder mystery party. And that was a fundraiser that we went to for a building. They were raising funds at that Renaissance fair. And so and they had a huge room and they did a murder mystery there with the big tables and that
Right.
and they funded their mead hall. That's the 2 big fundraisers. You wanna have one that is more competition based, where you have entry fees, where it draws people who are interested in whatever the
With the activity.
activity is so that you have an opportunity to draw people together and also spread your message to people
Yeah.
who might not have heard it otherwise.
Sure.
And then, the second one is that meal because, again, people come together over food. And you can do some really great fundraisers without spending a lot of money on the fundraiser. Um, and you get some really good barbecue out of that deal a lot of the times. I've eaten some spectacular barbecue. So, those are the 2 big ones. You should have committees that plan those. Hopefully people who have planned something before, but if they haven't, hey, you probably haven't run for office before. So, yeah,
Other major fundraising type, which is a lot more personal,
the house
the
fundraiser.
household fundraisers.
Yeah, so those are a big one. Those you're gonna be doing all the time because they serve 2 functions. One, they are private fundraisers held in people's homes. But 2, they're also friend raisers. They're giving you an intimate connection with people who hopefully can vote for in your district. Sometimes you're going to be having a house party, and the people that are there don't necessarily have the ability to vote in your district, but their money spends just as well.
Sure.
So, you know, hopefully the people that are there are going to be people who can vote for you, but also they're people who can potentially volunteer. And now that you've had that one-on-one engagement, the buy-in is way higher. So one-on-one engagement with somebody increases buy-in and memorability.
Right.
So when you're doing those, you want to make sure that you don't fall into the same. I watch people do it all the time, the same trap where, okay, here's all the supporters I have in this particular part of my district. And so they all want to host a private fundraiser. So I'll go to each one of their houses and host a private fundraiser. And then each one of their houses has the exact same people at 'em. And they've already given you money, and by the time you're doing the third one, you're seeing the same people, and they've either maxed out on giving or they're tapped out. They've already given you
Sure.
everything that they can, and I'm not saying you always go back to a well. Don't don't get me wrong. Just because someone's giving you money doesn't mean you don't ask them again. That's not the point. The point is you don't necessarily hold a fundraiser for them every time that you're asking for money. So you're looking to choose people who bring different people to different tables.
And when you're doing a household fundraiser, it's the host that is doing the inviting of people.
Correct.
So that actually takes a lot of the burden off of you. But you want to diversify the people that are hosting so that you have different people being invited.
Right. You wanna keep that. You're diversifying your donor base,
Right.
and that being able to do that, it gives you a greater, like I said, you always return to the well. So, now you've got more people to go back to. So when you're doing that, you're looking at different communities. You also want to make sure they're being set in different regions.
You have to consider both the geography of them and
So
the subculture.
right. So you're looking at, like, you don't just say, I've got it covered because I met with that minority group. That's not okay. You're also ignoring subsets within subcultures. And so you're missing out on people. You're missing reaching people. So what you want to do is you want to identify the different communities that you have within your district as a whole and where they exist and meet them where they are, not go to one place and assume that's where everybody in that community in your district is. So you want to diversify, and you want to diversify within each region that you have within your community. Now, if you're running for, again, city commission in a town of maybe 30, 40,000 people, this may not be something that's necessarily a concern for you as much as somebody who's running for state representative seat or even state senate. However, even within that community, you have subsets of different cultures. So be sure and ask the people who are within those communities where they are throughout your region, because you may have two different Hindi temples in your communities, and when you meet with one person who's part of that one particular temple, well, you may not have met all the people that go to the other one because they don't know each other. You don't know.
You don't know.
So my point is diversify the regions that you go to, diversify the people that you go to within the regions,
Diversify the neighborhoods that you're visiting.
diversify the
That are
neighborhood that you
hosting, yeah.
visit, and make sure that you are, you know, delivering the message that you have, asking for the funds that you can. And when you're getting those lists from your host, they should have next to each one of the people that are being invited a potential ask
You're getting guest lists from the host
from the
beforehand.
correct. So you're looking at a 2-month timeline in this particular
Okay.
thing. When you set up a house fundraiser, and that's why it's important to start setting them up like in this time period, right? Because you want them, you know, heading into it. You want to get them ready to go. So I like to have a 2-month setup to it. At 6 weeks, you should hope to have a finalized guest list from them, and that guest list needs to include um, the name of the invitee, the address, and their email address, their phone number.
Whether they're coming to the event or not.
They're just the invitee. This needs to be standard information that the host provides if they can. You want to have a standardized Excel spreadsheet. That way, whenever you're using that invite list, you have it ready to print out stickers like the address labels for your invitations,
Right.
right? So it's in that Excel spreadsheet. You also have email addresses for all those people, because the next thing that you're going to do,
But we're not doing that. The candidate is not doing that.
the candidate isn't, the staff is going to be, but the list is
I
put
thought the
together.
host did that.
No, the host gets the list entire. They provide the list.
Okay.
The host provides the list. They provide the email addresses, the phone numbers. They provide the ask amounts. They're what they project that person has the ability to give, because these are people from their life. They're people that they know. Okay. And so a lot of times when you're having these house fundraisers, because you're trying to diversify regions, but keep those people, like I said, you can go to 5 people in the same region and each one of them have a house party and all the same people show up.
Right.
So what you want to do is those 5 people want to throw a house party. You only want to have one party, have them all co-host together.
Sure.
So you have them co-host together in that region. Each one of them needs to get you a list of who they want invited to that party. And in that list, it needs to have their name, their address, their phone number, their email address, and how much they predict that person has the ability to give. They send that to your campaign. Your campaign should have a standard invite for these sorts of things, so that when it comes down to it, you're plugging in the new information for that invite, you're sending it off to the printer, and then you can send with that, by the way, you can oftentimes send with that the Excel spreadsheet that has the addresses and print directly from the printer. They will send out your invitations for you, depending on how many of them you need printed, depending on how many, but they will go ahead and mail that from you, and you pay them for the postage and they take care of it.
Full service printer in your area.
You can use it for that.
You can use it. You provide them the addresses, the names and addresses, and they'll pre-print everything to send out.
Right. They'll take care of it from there when it comes to the printed invites.
Okay.
But in addition to that, you also have the opportunity then. So your invites are going to go out about 2 weeks before, to 2.5 to 3 weeks before. I like to try to send them out at 3 weeks. Sometimes it's 2.5. It depends. There's always people who are like, "Oh, I forgot to add this person." So
Right.
you're right. Um, you you get those in, but the 2.5 weeks is my cutoff. No more. No more telling me that there's more people. And then they should have those invites at the 2-week prior to mark.
Right.
A lot of them will have already been given a heads up, or should have already been given a heads up by the hosts themselves, who should be making rounds. Hey, you're going to be getting an invite to this. That host should be setting up a Facebook invite or a social media page invite. You might have a kit for them to send along to them to say, this is exactly what you need to do to set up an online event for an online invite. So they're getting kind of a save the date in that way. And then the campaign sends out the invitation. And then you want to send them an email about a week and a half out before that house fundraiser, from the campaign, from the candidate,
Right.
letting them know, hey, uh, I hope you got that invite that they sent you from so and so. Hope to see you at hope to see you at the fundraiser. We sure could use, the $250 $250 donation from your household, that sort of thing.
Okay.
And then when you're at about the week of, you're going to start making calls as a candidate and personally inviting these people. And this will be part of the phone calls that you make in a day.
Okay.
You will start calling those people, and you're going to be basing those calls on RSVP lists. You're going to have them send, um, either they're going to call and say thank you for that they RSVP'd yes. You're going to say, sorry you couldn't attend. Hope that you can. I hope to see you in future events. We have some coming up. In the meantime, if you'd still like to make a contribution to the campaign, here's where you go to.
So this is not a hands-off kind of fundraiser.
It's not a hands off. It should be just part of your normal campaign work day
Right.
that you're dealing with the events that are scheduled. And you're not really thinking much of it except for here's your calls for the event that you have coming up. Here's the RSVP yeses, here's the RSVP nos. Um, Make sure you call them during call time, during today's session, whatever.
Right.
Um, and it's just it becomes a normal course of campaign work.
Okay.
So you won't really think of it as I've got a major fundraiser coming up if you're doing it, you know, if you're following this list. It just becomes part of the normal workday.
All right. Well, let's talk about the dreaded call time since you brought it up. What exactly is call time? How does that work?
Well, we brought this up in the last episode, didn't we?
Yes.
Yes.
We talked about it several times.
Talk about it all the time because the lengths to which I have seen candidates go to avoid call time is insane. And call time is really just it's so dreaded and maligned, and it's just calling people and saying, "Give me money."
Right.
And that's the part that everybody hates because a lot of times people feel as if it's like they're selling magazine subscriptions. Like you're calling and high pressuring people that you know, and sometimes people you don't know, and asking them to give you money. But I will encourage you to go back to the beginning of this episode, about what, 10 minutes in, right that around that mark, and listen to me explain to you why it is their responsibility to give you money. Repeat that, like write it down, find that mantra, whatever, but get over it. If you want to be in office, if you want your ideas to go somewhere, you need to get over the fact that you don't want to ask people for money. So, the first thing you do with call time, where do you get your list? That's the one that panics everybody. Who am I calling? Who do I call? Well, first you start with the people in your own life. And that's what I was talking about earlier. We Rolodex. So you go through your personal address book.
That's an incredibly aged reference, by the way.
No, but I often work with incredibly aged people, right? So, so we've kept it in there for all of you who are running for office the first time and who are in your y- in your 40s or whatnot or younger. I will let you know that Rolodex are when it's like a little card thingy
It's like a card index
that's
with people's names and addresses that you could roll through with a little knob and find the address that you're or the name that you're looking for.
so yeah, you're gonna go through your address book.
Your address book.
Yeah, in your phone probably. And you're going to your Christmas card list, whatever.
Sure.
Your Christmas card list is actually going to be one of the things the people that you call. And it's not going to matter where they live, right?
Right.
These are people who support you because you're you. So you're going to go.
That's the place to start.
That's the place to start. You're going to go through and you're going to group them. You're going to start looking at the different aspects of your life where people exist. Are you going to be looking at people who are at your church? Yes, you are. Are you going to be looking? That's going to be one group of people that you call.
Right.
And this is where it's called Rolodexing because in a Rolodex, you have like subcategories and you put the name of the person.
Let's just call it an address book.
Okay. But that's what it's called.
Okay.
Like I've called it that for 30 years. You're going to ask me to call it something different. So like you're going to put these people into categories. And if you're using an NGP system or if you're using another software system where you're tracking this, which you should be, you're going to put them in and cross-reference them for every category that they belong in. So people you go to church with, people that you're in clubs and organizations with, people you went to high school with, people you went to college with, people you worked with at that other job, people that you know, people you're related to, people your spouse is related to, um, all of them. You're going to write down their names, you're going to write down their phone numbers or whatever information you have on them, and you're going to write how much you think that they can give. And then you're going to start by calling all those people and asking them for each of those amounts that are next to their name.
Right.
So that's that's the first place you're going to find people to call. The second place you're going to find people to call is those people that you just called. You're going to ask them to do exactly what you just did with their church, with their organizations, with their not necessarily all of the people that you just called, but the ones that are close enough to you that are supporting you that they can do that.
Right.
So you're going to be reaching out to those people who are your strongest supporters, and you're going to be asking them to do the same. And really, anybody who's willing to do this and give you this list from their life, get it. Ask for it and get that information from them. And like I said, it needs to have whatever contact information they have on that person and how much they think that person can give.
Sure.
So you've got your personal Rolodex, your circles,
Friends of friends.
friends of friends. Then you're going to start looking at state filings and FEC. This is where I start getting into like the spreadsheet zone. This is where I start tracking things. And it's where you have people who, and I mentioned this earlier, people who have donated to people in that position in the past.
Right.
So if you have a person who has made a contribution to somebody running for that office before for a Democrat, then you want to call them. If that person has made a contribution to any person who's running for that seat as a Democrat or as your political party, that then they go to the top of the list of people you call. And you look at how much they've contributed in the past, and you make your prediction on how much you should ask them for and go a little bit over. I mean, like, if they've always given 200 between 250 and $300, well, inflation, man, ask them for 5, right? What's the
Right.
worst they're gonna do? Say, "No, I can give you 250." Oh, no. Like, people only give you what you ask them for. They never give you more than what you ask for. That never
That never happens.
happens. Always ask for a little bit more than you think. Just a little bit. Don't push it. Push it a little,
Push it a little.
you know. So, anyway, that and then, of course, NGP van boat builder, you got a lot of information there. Republicans have something else that they use that's similar. Um, whatever, man. Anyway, then the next part of call time, it's having your script. Now, I know I just told you all that this is not like selling magazine subscriptions, and it's not, except for it is. So,
In respect to having a script
correct.
to make sure that you are saying everything that you need to say.
Right. Instead of selling magazines, you're selling you, which is a lot more valuable and more important. And,
Right.
like, not to people who sell magazines. I'm not saying anything about you all. I love magazines. I don't want to get canceled over magazines. Anyway, but no, I do. You do the side gig you got to do. That's how you're paying bills. Then, but my point is that you're not selling magazines, you're selling yourself. And so that comes with a script. And that script is usually your quick pitch about what it is that one, that you're running for office, two, why it is that you're running. And then whatever it was that that dollar amount is written down next to their name, you ask. You ask for that specific dollar amount. And then you shut up. You go through the whole thing and then you shut up. Because the first person to speak loses. That's right. So if you say, let me do this. Let me do this like I'm running for office. Hello, yes, it's B McGuffin. You may have heard I'm running for office. I'm wanting to be your next state rep. And I know in the past that you've made generous contributions to other people who've run for this particular seat. I know that you and I have a lot in common in the issues that concern us. And one of the things I'm working towards is ensuring that the kids in our school have all the resources that they need, that they can get through the day. Can I count on you for a contribution of $500 to my campaign?
Yes, absolutely.
Great. Then you're gonna follow up with, usually you're gonna get, well, let me ask you this. Um, Sometimes you just get, "Yeah, I can do that. I can do $500. What's your PO box? Where am I sending it to? You got an email address?" Like, a lot that happens, but a lot of times it's, "Well, let me ask you this." And then you're gonna be, like, answering questions about your campaign. And then you're gonna be like, "So can I count on you for $500?" Like, you're good whatever it is they ask you, give them the answer and then follow it with, "But can I count on you for that $500?" And actually not but. So, can I count on so you're following this script, and there's a reason you're following it. Would you like to know what that reason is?
What is that reason?
It works.
Yeah.
I know it's crazy, right? It works.
Right.
So, that's what you're gonna be doing there. Um, and then the next part is you are going to record every detail of every one of those calls. You are going to record whether or not you got a machine, whether or not you left a message, who it was that you talked to, whether the number was correct number or not, whether or not that person, um, hung up on you the moment that they picked up the phone. You're going to be noting any personal information that they tell you because some people are just sitting around waiting for somebody to call them and they want you to know that their oldest daughter is pregnant and the next one's going off to college next fall and they can't wait for that, but they're going to be like, you get the whole life story with some of them. And, write it down because the next time that they talk to you, they want to know that you remember all of that. And so the next time that you're calling them, your call time manager is going to say to you, the next person you're calling, the last time we called them, you or the first time we called them, you left a message. The next time we called them, they told you that their daughter was expecting. They said that it was June. This is May, so make sure you ask them how their daughter's doing. These sorts of things. It adds the personal touches that are necessary. And by the way, it's just sort of a mensch thing to do. Be a decent person.
Sure.
So, because you're meeting a lot of people and you can't remember all of that. And you're asking a lot of people to contribute to the campaign. And so, I don't expect you to remember all of that. A lot of people do expect you to remember all of that. And most people can't. So, this is just an aid that helps you. And it helps you just be a better person. It's a better candidate and hopefully once you're elected a better representative.
Right.
Um, so yeah, uh, that's most of the things that you need to do. And then of course, if someone tells you that they're going to give you a check, you definitely want to write that down because you're tracking in this tracking system that you have. Like I said, NGP or whatever tracking system that you're using, you're tracking it whether or not you received that check. And if you haven't received it, well, it's time to call. Do I look like a clown to you? Did you think you could tell me you was sending me money and then not send me money? Did you think that that would work?
That's
No.
a little aggressive.
No, I'm just kidding. You're just like, "Hey, I don't know if you forgot. I don't know if things happen. Sure could use that money though." No, but speaking of aggressive, no, we're gonna get to that one in a minute. Remember that. Remember that stance of give me my money. We're gonna get back to that
Gotcha.
in a minute. So, you've got that. And then hopefully, like I said, because you're wanting to record all that information, you've got a call time manager. Or as we discussed in B's campaign anatomy, a lot of times that's your fundraising coordinator, sometimes that's your body man, whoever it is,
May not be their sole title, but you should have somebody to help.
whoever's responsibility it is for call time, that person, and be kind to them. My God, they're just doing what they can. They're just trying to help you. Like,
You've had some bad experiences being a
no,
sideman.
more funny experiences. Like, I've had funny experiences as a call time manager. I've had funny experiences with interns who have been call time managers working with me, and it's just so silly. They're not People aren't really mean about it so much as they're like, "What if we just why don't we just go out to lunch?" When you're a college kid and you're hungry, it's like, "Well, I'm gonna let you buy me lunch." Plus, you're like, "I'm gonna get to go have lunch with this person." It's like, He was
They're
just
supposed to be doing call
he
time.
just didn't wanna call the Anyway, finally, well, not finally, second to finally, but finally in this episode, monthly subscriptions, which is a fairly new thing that people are doing. Um, this is where you can set it up where you have donors who give $25 a month, and they set it up for the next 5 months. They're gonna give $25 a month, and it's like a subscription. They can set it up with ActBlue. A lot of times there's other versions that you can set it up with. And some things that aren't really being done yet, but that are brand new ideas that are starting to be used, setting up subscription boxes for your campaign. So you have somebody who donates, you know, $25 a month or $50 a month to your campaign. And then, if you're working in a smaller district, you drop once a month, they donate it, you drop off at their house, whatever comes in the campaign subscription box that month, which is, maybe it's a button, maybe it's a picture. And I don't know. There's the kind of things that you get.
An autographed picture.
It might be right. It might
To
be
my favorite voter.
it might be a coupon book from different uh businesses in the area that are supporting you, and they've given sponsorships to be in those. There's all different kinds of things that you can do with that,
Okay.
but that's a relatively new thing that people have been able to do and people have started using to raise money for their campaign. I think it's really novel. I think having that set it and forget it thing, and for a lot of people who they want to be able to give $500 to a campaign, but they can't give $500, but they know they can give $25 a month for, you know, Math makes me sad. Where's my child? He'll do it. Um, so, I think that's something definitely new candidates
Yeah.
should look into and explore. But again, if you're limited on time and you're looking for ways to fundraise, don't try to do too much. Like if you're doing some sort of subscription box thing, don't also be doing something else where you're having to you let your pocketbook be your guide, let your volunteer base be your guide too. Because if you don't have the volunteers to do some of the stuff that you want to do, then you're just making promises that you can't keep. And that looks bad. And then you're up for 3 nights straight putting something together that, and yeah. So, you know, be smart, work smart, not hard. And then finally, camping kickoff. And that gets us to what are we talking about next week?
Kicking off your campaign.
We are, because that's your first big fundraiser. That's what
Right.
you be and next week's episode is going to be called
Confirmations.
Confirmations, Quinceañeras, and Campaign Kickoffs. So, I'm really excited to tell you about that. This is your first campaign fundraiser that you're really gonna host that's gonna, like, have people and stuff happening, and so next week, we're gonna be talking about what that is and what you need to do to organize this first fundraiser. And it'll kind of give you the experience and the I don't know, the confidence. Once you pull that off,
Right.
it's like, okay, I
That
can do
It's
something.
really it's a big fundraising event
It is.
when you're first getting started.
People do that wrong a lot of times. I see people who are running without a campaign manager and they have a big like I filed or I'm announcing, whichever. And then they just like make it a thing. And it's like, did you ask anybody for money? Well, no, it was a kickoff, and it was like, "Did you forget to kick off your bank account? Like, why didn't you ask anybody for money?" So this is we're gonna make sure that your campaign kickoff has you know, everything that you need to start your campaign out right.
Sure.
So, yeah.
So finally, let's talk about the history of fundraising.
Do we have any questions, Nathan?
I don't have any questions.
We good?
We're good.
We're good.
Good.
Y'all out there, if you're not good, send us a message and
Send us your questions.
ask at bepoliticalllc.com. That's BEE politicalllc.com.
There you go.
So ask at. And if you got any questions about this, send us a holler. We'll answer them on a podcast. Or, like I said, go to bepoliticalllc.com. And right there on the homepage, it should say something about the strategy sessions. Yeah.
I want to hear more about the president who wins elections specialist.
LBJ was fun, man. So this is we have a Bernese Mountain Dog named Charlie, and he's just the best buffoon that has ever flopped into our life. Um, he's a big Bernese Mountain Dog who constantly paws at you to give him affection. He slobbers all the time, and if you didn't know this, LBJ was like he was kin he was literally compared to a barnyard dog. I can't remember who compared him to that. Oh, that's killing me. I can't remember. Because he was a very, like, touchy like, he would talk to you and he had his hand on your shoulder or his arm around you squeezing. He'd be, like, up in your face and he, like, spit when he talked, and, like, people would joke that they would come out drenched after talking to him because he was all up in your face and he was constantly spitting on you. But also, he was, like, the master of just mind games. Like, one of the things that he would do so where the it's so funny that the reporters pool in the White House is where it is because it's over top of the actual White House pool.
Right.
They needed space for reporters for the gaggle, so they covered up the pool. The pool's still under there. So, um LBJ, what he would do is he liked to skinny dip, and he would make sure that if a reporter wanted one-on-one time to ask him questions, he'd have them meet him in the pool because they would be so distracted by the fact that the president was just naked and swimming in front of them that it would put them off guard and he could run the interview. But of his many mind game skills and things that he did to always be like in charge, whether he was slobbering on you or not. And besides the wonderful things that he did with civil rights, he also would keep a notebook in his jacket of all the people who owed him money and favors at all times. And so if he needed campaign contributions made to him or to somebody else who was running for office and he needed that person, he would corner you and say, "You owe me $500 and this is when you're paying it." And he, like, turned into, like, a loan shark. Like, he was it was awesome. I would never do any of
No,
this, but
I do not recommend using that kind of attitude.
he'd be like, "Remember that time your mom was gonna lose her farm and I helped you out? Well, it's time to pay the piper."
Right.
And he did this for his campaign, for the Democratic Party, for other candidates. Like, he is known for being the absolute best fundraiser. And it's important to note that in this, he wasn't, like, blackmailing people. I don't want you to think that. That's not at all what I'm saying. What I'm saying is he's like his mind it was a steel trap because he took notes about all of the donors that he talked to. Just like I said earlier, he wasn't running away from his call time manager.
Oh, right.
His call time manager was taking every note that he needed to make sure that he had all of the follow-ups necessary in order to get that contribution where it needed to go.
And it was very effective at
It
it.
it was very effective.
So next week, I think that's all the time we've got
We've got an
today.
infinite amount of time, but it's the amount of time that we as people have.
Yes,
Yes.
that's a good point. Next week, we're going to be talking again about your campaign kickoff and everything that you should be doing to ensure that that is successful.
Confirmations, quinceañeras, and campaign kickoff.
Don't forget, Be Political is now offering strategy sessions. These are one-on-one meetings where we can talk about your specific issues or your specific questions and give you the advice that you need.
And speaking of specific questions, you can ask questions about us at ask@beepoliticalllc.com, or you can go to all social media and find us at How to Run Pod.
Until next time, this is Scott.
I'm B. Let's get ready to run.